Live, local, now. WTOC First Alert Weather Day.
Good evening and thanks for joining us tonight. Subtropical storm Alberto making its way up the Gulf Coast. That storm is expected to give us heavy rain here in the coastal empire and low country today and tomorrow. As a result, today and tomorrow are First Alert weather days. Tonight we do have team coverage with our Crystal Howard out on Tybee Island checking on beach conditions, and our First Alert chief meteorologist Dave Turley. He joins us now from the WTOC Weather Center with the latest on this storm. Dave?
Yeah, and you mentioned a subtropical system. That's exactly what it is, and it's still bringing us periods of rain. Now, it's not been an all-day rain coming up here. We still got mainly light to moderate showers, but occasionally you can get some locally heavy rain, and as we get closer to that high tide, grounds are saturated. If we get any of that heavy rain occurring at that high tide time, we can get some localized flooding there. The severe threat is going to be on the low side, as it has been all day, and that'll continue as we head on into the evening hours. Safe Net Security First Alert Live radar shows mainly some lighter showers, where we're seeing some of the heavier showers getting up towards Hampton and northern areas of Jasper County, moving out of Beaufort County as well. Getting some more showers as you get over towards St. Catharines Island, or actually Sapelo Island, I should say, getting over towards the Townsend area. That's going to move inland. And what we're going to be watching is we haven't seen a lot of rotation in these storms. Typically, what you get tropical storms with the moisture working from the Atlantic. Well, we're going to watch this one. That's been showing a lot of rotation out there. It's a long ways away from us, but it looks like it's going to continue to work its way closer to the coast, and we'll be watching that as we head through the evening hours. Alberto itself is still in the Gulf. We'll be making a landfall tomorrow. We'll give you the latest track on that and our 7-day forecast coming up in just a few minutes.
Thanks, Dave. This storm is already gaining strength in the Gulf of Mexico. Winds over 40 miles an hour will impact much of Florida's west coast. Check out this video coming out of Lake Worth, Florida, Apollo Beach, Miami, and Fort Lauderdale. Alberto is expected to make landfall, as Dave said, in the Panhandle tomorrow. Today, communities along the Gulf Coast are preparing ahead of the storm. Memorial Day weekend spent filling sandbags and preparing for floods. Communities along the Gulf Coast are gearing up for the impact of Alberto.
I'm just preparing just in case. I'm a first-time homeowner, so I'm not sure what to expect.
It's the first named storm of the year, days before the 2018 hurricane season officially begins. 3 states have already declared a state of emergency. Mississippi, Alabama, and Florida are ready to take action if and when the storm makes landfall.
Hopefully we won't have landfall in this state, but get ready. I mean, we live in a peninsula state. The nice thing is I think people are getting prepared, and we've just got to continue to do that every day.
Alberto is on track to slam the Florida Panhandle late Sunday or early Monday. Heavy rain is expected throughout the Gulf Coast and southeast. Officials are already taking steps to mitigate the impact of flooding.
Before the storm, like in the period when right now, we let water out of the system to allow more room for the runoff from the storm to come in.
As the storm strengthens over warm waters in the Gulf of Mexico, officials are warning residents and Memorial Day vacationers of the potentially dangerous conditions.
Use caution because nature can sometimes be dangerous, and if you're not familiar with it, your very, very happy holiday can all of a sudden go from extreme joy to extreme sadness.
You saw Dave's forecast and you saw that track. Her subtropical storm Alberto and its moisture is moving into our area. Therefore, some of the beaches are actually affected on this Memorial Day weekend. That includes Tybee Island. But is the rain stopping people from coming out? Our Crystal Howard joins us live now on Tybee Island. And Crystal, as you're out there, have you seen people?
You know what, there are actually a lot of people out here today, locals, tourists, and well, I was going to tell you guys that it hasn't been raining that much out here, but the rain certainly just picked up. It's also very windy. You guys can see that my shoulder is really wet right here. And however, the beach isn't full at all today, as you would expect. The tide is also very high, so lifeguards are keeping people out of the water at this time for safety reasons. People I talked to out here on Tybee told me this is their vacation weekend, and they weren't letting the tropical storm or the rain stop their fun. I also want you guys to remember boating safety this weekend as we have rainy weather and wind gusts. Be cautious of the high tides. Tourists from Tennessee I talked to told me they are here for a week, tropical storm or not.
Well, we get Memorial Day off from work, so we took the rest of the week as well. So all week next week we'll be here, And if it's a hurricane, then we got front row seats.
And again, guys, the rain just picked up out here on Tybee, and it's also really busy out here with people who aren't letting the rain put a damper on their weekend. Live on Tybee, Crystal Howard, WTOC News.
Thanks, Kristen. Listen up, if you don't have our First Alert weather app, go download that ASAP. You can keep track of the forecast and check the radar. You can even get alerts sent straight to your phone when a storm happens in our area. All right, to some other news now. Firefighters with the city of Beaufort and the town of Port Royal were called to a possible structure fire early this morning. It happened on Bay Street around 2 a.m. at Hearth Pizza Restaurant. When firefighters got there, smoke was coming out of the building and blowing onto Bay Street. Firefighters did find a wood-fired pizza oven had been shut down for the night. However, some of the firewood had been put back into the oven for the next day and heated. That caused the smoke to come from the oven vent. Firefighters did shut down Bay Street for about an hour. An update for you tonight. The Indiana science teacher credited with disarming a school shooter in Noblesville, Indiana, is out of the hospital. The gunman shot 29-year-old Jason Seaman. This happened while Seaman tackled and stopped the shooter Friday. 2 others were wounded in the shooting. One of those students is in critical condition. The other fractured his ankle. The suspected gunman is also a student. He is now in custody. This shooting comes a week after 10 people were killed at a school shooting in Santa Fe, Texas. We're now learning former President George H.W. Bush is back in the hospital. According to a spokesperson, he was taken to a main facility after experiencing low blood pressure and fatigue. He is expected to stay there for a few days for observation. This comes a day after he visited with military veterans. That's what these pictures are right here. He stopped by an American Legion pancake breakfast yesterday in Kennebunkport, Maine. The former president was hospitalized last month for an infection the day after his wife's funeral. Negotiations for the on-again, off-again summit between President Trump and North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un now appear to be back on track. Mola Lingyi tonight from Washington.
South Korean President Moon Jae-in says North Korean dictator Kim Jong-un has reaffirmed his commitment to complete denuclearization of the Korean Peninsula, and he still wants to hold a summit with President Trump on June 12th. Moon and Kim held a surprise secret meeting Saturday as all sides seem ready to revive the summit. The president tweeted that a U.S. team has arrived in North Korea to make summit arrangements and that it will one day be a great economic nation. President Trump canceled the summit on Thursday, but was optimistic by week's end.
So we're looking at June 12th in Singapore. That hasn't changed.
I think the president's strategy has played out really brilliantly.
Some lawmakers remain skeptical about Kim's intentions.
My suspicion remains that he is going to try to get as much sanctions relief as possible without having to give up his weapons.
After his meeting with Kim, Moon said the North Korean leader wasn't certain he could trust the U.S. to provide a security guarantee if he gives up his nukes. President Trump has said the U.S. is willing to end hostile relations and to help the North achieve economic prosperity if there is denuclearization. Mola Lingyi, CBS News, the White House.
To another story we've been following for weeks, this one in Hawaii. The Hawaii Volcano Observatory reports the lava flow in Leilani Estates is now covering almost 2,500 acres. The Helumamu crater is producing small bursts of volcanic ash. The ash is slowly being pushed downwind. Volcanic gases, fog, and ash emissions are increasing in those areas downwind of the vents. Areas nearby are seeing elevated levels of sulfur dioxide. A popular low country festival wrapping up today. Our Harley Strickland gives us a look at the Gullah Festival when we come back. Our First Alert weather team continues to track subtropical storm Alberto. This is a live look from Miami. They're preparing for the storm's landfall. Dave Turley will have a look at your forecast in just a little bit.